Even as early as heat 5, we have a situation where something really has to give. 3 unbeaten riders. Here's one of them, Les Collins. He'll be in the blue helmet colour, moving out of grid 2. And on the outside of him, Bruce Pennell, the most emphatic winner first time out from the United States, and possibly the Antipose favourite for this crown. And sandwiched between them in the white helmet colour, Ivan Major at 41, the granddaddy of them all, quite literally and metaphorically. He won his first ride, and just to add a bit of spice to the brew, we've got Kelly Moran on the inside in the red helmet colour, and the inside grids have been like grease lightning. So let's have a look at heat 5. 3 early winners and Kelly Moran in just to make things interesting. Here we go, heat 5. Oh, Major is the impatient one, and Lucky got to break the tapes. Just as we rather thought it might happen, Moran it is who jumps out, and going way out onto the boards, it is Bruce Pennell. Pennell and Major, and Pennell is stopped. Pennell's in trouble there. That's awfully bad luck for the Californian. He's got it moving again, and has moved up into 3rd place past Les Collins. But it is Kelly Moran who leads it. And well, there's an awful lot of parity in World Speedway at the moment, and this race again is proving it. Kelly Moran in front. 2nd place is Major. Pennell really is riding the race of his life here, because I think he's going to go round Major. He has. So Bruce Pennell, I don't know what happened to him down the back straight on the first lap. It looked as though his bike had stopped, but he moved past Les Collins. He's gone past Ivan Major. Now he's chasing his fellow Californian, Kelly Moran, and they're into the last lap of White City. And the 2 Americans are having a rare old dice up there. Moran must be aware that Pennell is buzzing, and here comes Bruce Pennell around the outside now. Has he got the necessary legs? Don't think so, just on the line. It was Moran, 2nd was Pennell, 3rd was Ivan Major. And a race packed with incident. It was Les Collins who got squeezed out at the first corner here as Moran jumped out. Major is in the white helmet colour. Watch for Bruce Pennell coming around the outside. Now he comes out way out onto the boards here, and it seemed like he drifted out into Never Never Land there. It seemed the whole field had gone past him. Still Moran up front, and Major in 2nd place, but Bruce levels it out, screws it all on here. Now what does happen, because the bike definitely checked, it looked as though he stopped. There it goes, he's looking down, the bike's slowing right up. He's allowed Les Collins to come through, but suddenly the bike picks up again. No question, he lost, 30 yards there, gets it going again, rides a really brave race to get back into contention. That really was an incident to remember. The 7th race of the 1981 Overseas final, where we have had the form book running pretty true. Let's have a look at the lineup for heat 7, because all 4 riders are looking desperately for points. Larry Ross, Dennis Sigalos, Chris Morton all had 2nd places first time out there from the inside to grid 3 respectively. On the outside, Phil Hearn, who we remember as a member of the Australian World Cup winning squad here back in 1976, who knows his way around White City looking for points on the outside. Heat 7. Morton's made a hash of the start. It's into the lead goes Larry Ross. 2nd place is Sigalos, although he was in trouble there. Allowed Phil Hearn around the outside, and Chris Morton, the Englishman, is in back in the 4th position. It's getting a little bit hectic out there now, and it's Hearn who's getting all the rough treatment. He's back in 3rd place, although Morton's moved through now. Still leading is Larry Ross. 2nd is Sigalos. They're beginning to sort themselves out a bit now, and Morton, who made a tremendous mess at the start, and Sigalos there finds a little bit of extra drive around the outside. I think he might just get up on Larry Ross. Ross is running in very wide, and this is a little bit more like it. He left him no room at all. Oh, that was a bit tough. So into the 4th and final lap of heat 7, which has proved to be probably the best race of the afternoon so far. It's Larry Ross in front still. Dennis Sigalos made his effort, got squeezed out last lap, and Chris Morton is going to be 3rd. Ross wins it. 2nd place Sigalos, 3rd was Morton, last was Hearn. And that's good news for Larry Ross, bidding for a place in his first world final. That means he moves up onto 5 points. They reckon 7 points is about the cut margin. So Larry Ross looking well set for a place in the Intercontinental final. Well, this is an official FIM meeting, and we have the machine scrutineer Ernie Woods there from the ACU testing the fuel for any illegal additives. A new innovation at these meetings, but one which makes sure the boys play by the rule book. Heat 11, and the two riders who most of the experts considered would be the main rivals for the first prize of £750 and the Overseas Championship. Dave Jessup, who has looked at his immaculate best in his early two rides, unbeaten thus far, against Bruce Pennell. And Pennell will be in the blue helmet colour with a win and a fighting second place after his machine had faltered almost to a stop in his second ride. Steve Batts was on the inside, Phil Hearns in grid 3, Pennell in grid 2, the man to watch for, and Jessup from the outside, usually so lightning quick away. And into the corner, and it is Pennell, and it is Jessup, and Jessup has just got the drop. Just has the drop. Dave Jessup straightens out in line. Pennell now moving under him hard and gave him a push, and Jessup would not be budged. It really is getting hair raising out there. He's only a little guy, Dave Jessup, but he takes a fair bit of shifting when he's in front. He leads it. Pennell's in second place. Bastable is third. And Dave Jessup, of course, won the British Championship and the Commonwealth Crown last year. Looking for all the world of though he means to add the overseas title to his imposing list, although Pennell will not stop challenging and trying. And here is the battle. And this battle really could sort out this championship title. Into the last lap, 385 metres to go, and Pennell is making a bold bid inside and out. Now he's going to try the inside run. Which way will he go? Now the outside. Jessup, as always, cornering quite immaculately, is going to hold him out. Really Speedway for the connoisseur there in Heat 11. 3 points for Jessup, 2 for Pennell, 1 for Bastable, and the White City crowd rise to Dave Jessup, and we wonder if we are looking at the new overseas champion. He has 9 points now, must go forward, but the title now very much within his grasp.
Dave Jessup, that was some race, wasn't it, to decide this meeting?
Well, it was a good race. I don't know if it will decide the meeting, but I'm obviously very pleased to have got it under my belt with a win.
Well, it was a big one for you. How did it go right from the beginning?
Well, I didn't actually make the jump in the picture here. You can see I'm about half a bike length down on Bruce, but I could hear his bike wasn't pulling as well as it should have done because he'd reared up a shade, and I could just see that I could get there ahead of him if only he didn't push me in too deep, and I just managed to get a yard ahead of him. And now we're just both sliding there together, pretty near leaning on each other to hold each other up. And
so often we've seen here, though, Dave, that the leader today in this slick track has stayed in front, but Pennell really hung in there.
Oh yes, you know, I mean, it's very easy to say things like that, but once you're in front, it's obviously an advantage. But I mean, with the calibre of the rider of Bruce, you know, you can't give him an inch. If I made one error, in fact, I made an error on the third lap, and he nearly got me, and I was feeling that if that was, you know, it was my fault, and luckily he didn't capitalise on it as much as he should have done, possibly.
Well done, Dave. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Heat 12, an interesting looking lineup. Kelly Moran on the inside with 4 points. Michael Lee has 4. John Louis in grid 3. The veteran Tiger, a little bit out of touch at the moment, but could pick up with a good late run, could still qualify. And Chris Morton on the outside. He won the Intercontinental final here last year, and he was in an identical situation after 2 rides. He had 3 points, then went on to win all his remaining rides to take the title. So he knows, although he could be in a little bit of trouble at this stage, it's still possible to come from the back in this meeting and make an impact. So here we go for Heat 12, with all of them with a point to prove and a point hopefully to gain. And it is a mad scramble to the first corner, and it is Louis who gets there in front. Louis leads it. Second place is Moran. Third place, just bursting through there, is Chris Morton, and Michael Lee's at the back. And it really is getting terribly hectic as round the outside goes Chris Morton, and he's moved into second place, and he's chasing hard now after John Louis. And he and Moran are having a dogfight of the highest order, but it's Morton who pulls clear down the back straight now, chasing hard after Tiger Louis in front. Louis, the one in the white helmet colour, remember. again as Lewis begins to run out of steam, and Morton is going to come from third to first place. He's moved into the lead here as they stretch over the line, the last lap around here. And Chris Morton, we did say, made a late bid in the equivalent meeting here last year and took the time. We wonder if history can possibly repeat itself. He has dropped 3 points already, but he's ridden magnificently in here in heat 12. Second place was Louis, third was Kelly Moran. Where, oh where, we wonder, was the world champion Michael Lee. But Morton, finding the adrenaline pumping as this meeting begins to unfold, came from the back there, picks up 3 points, takes him on to 6. Should be enough for qualification, but we think we might see a bit more of this little man from Bellevue.
Well, Michael Lee, we were surprised to see the world champion with only 4 points after 3 rides. That's going to put pressure on you to qualify now.
Yeah, I think so. There's always pressure, but I've made it tough on myself in this one. I'm just not gating particularly well at the moment. I think that's the problem. If I could get out front, I could probably stay there, but so far that hasn't happened.
Well, everyone was delighted, of course, in this country when you won the world title last year, but there's been so much controversy since then, Michael. How much is this upsetting you and playing on your form?
Oh, it's in the back of your mind all the time. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of people, when you reach the top, there's a lot of people there to put you down, and I'm realising this now. You know, a lot of people have given me good advice. I take notice of what they're saying now and just ignore all the comments and what have you from the outside and get on with the job in hand, which is trying to win races on the track.
Well, there is the trophy they're all chasing. If we have a look at the riders in main contention for that Gold Cup, we'll see that Michael Lee, who we've just been talking to, is noticeable by his absence. Dave Jessup, in fact, his Kings Lynn teammate, in the lead on 9 points, unbeaten. Larry Ross, a little bit of a surprise packet from New Zealand, comfortably placed in second place on 8. Bruce Pennell and Dennis Sigalos, 2 Americans, jointly in third place on 7 points. Chris Morton from England coming back into the picture on 6. Then we have 3 riders on 5 points each: Ivan Major, Kelly Moran and Les Collins. Now, they should all be pretty safe for qualification places, providing they do nothing stupid in the latter stage of the programme. But beginning to sweat now, all these riders here, and there we can see Michael Lee and Kenny Carter on 4 points. They'll have to pick up their performance in the latter part of the meeting. Scott Autry, Steve Bastable and John Louis have work to do as well for a qualification place. But sadly, Ian Cartwright, Danny Kennedy and Phil Hearn at the bottom of the list now really must be looking for miracles. The Post Office Tower, of course, which towers above White City Stadium as we look across high living and indeed fast living. Life at the fast lane there on Westway. As we move into the vital latter stages of this overseas final, the high life and the fast life coming from the leader, who we'll be looking at in heat 13. Dave Jessup, there he is, with 3 beautifully strung together wins to his credit. 9 points, 1 point clear of his nearest challenger, Larry Ross. Remember, there's a £750 additional first prize for the winner of this Overseas Championship final. And Jessup here in heat 13 is in with a lively bunch, because on the inside of him he has got Chris Morton. Let's have a look at Chris. There he is on the inside. You can see he has 6 points, so well in with a chance of qualification. A rider who loves White City. He won the Intercontinental Championship here last year and looked very perky indeed last time out coming from the back. He's on the inside here. Danny Kennedy's in grid 2, out of contention. Dave Jessup, the leader, on 9 points, grid 3. And Les Collins, another Englishman, looking good. He has 5 points, so 2 or 3 more here in heat 13 would assure him of a place in the Intercontinental final in Denmark in a fortnight. Here we go for heat 13. Jessup in grid 3. Hasn't missed the traps yet. Maybe we shouldn't say that. And he hasn't missed this one either. Tremendous start again from Jessup. He leads it. Second place is Morton. Third is Les Collins. And at the back it's Danny Kennedy as they peel down the back straight. It is Dave Jessup, England's skipper, in front of his teammate Chris Morton. In fact, this pair rode in Poland in the World Pairs Championship, none too effectively as it happens. Seem to have put that disappointment behind them. Jessup hasn't missed a start yet and hasn't missed a beat when he's gone in front. Morton's right on his back wheel. Morton again will find some extra grip around the outside, and Dave Jessup cannot afford to be complacent up front, because Morton, we have seen, has all the guts and ability to come from the back. As they move into the last lap around White City, the shadows beginning to lengthen a bit. It's a beautiful afternoon for Speedway, and Dave Jessup must be thinking it's a beautiful day as well, because unless Morton can produce something bionic here on the last couple of bends, he's going to hold on and collect his fourth win. 12 points now then for Jessup, 2 more there for Morton. He moves up on to 8 points, should safely see him through. 1 more for Les Collins in 3rd place. Dave Jessup looks to be running into his finest form at just the right moment in this year's World Championship chase. He had a disappointing British final, but he looks well on course here at White City. And as all the riders are pinching points from each other, there really is some pressure now on world champion Michael Lee. He only has 4 points. He's in grid 3 here. Michael has some really tough opposition too in Heat 16, and he really must get a win before long. He's had 2 second places. The lineup is Bruce Pennell on the inside, 7 points. Ian Cartwright on 2. Michael's there in grid 3 in the white helmet colour. And on the outside, another high-scoring American, Dennis Sigalos, who has 7 points. So Heat 16, and Lee must really... Oh, he's on a flyer. There is the referee going to be happy with that. The red light doesn't come on, although... Oh, does it? In fact, it does. Well, let's have a look at the replay of that start and watch for Michael Lee in grid 3, because he plainly was moving when the tapes went up. It was a ragged start. There he goes. Well, there's no way any referee in the world is going to allow that. Michael Lee, the world champion, only 4 points, getting jumpy. Tried to beat the button in the first attempt to start Heat 16. Did get a flyer. The referee, Dane Shell Christensen, having none of it. So once again we look at the lineup. Michael has an awful lot to contend with here in Heat 16. Bruce Pennell from America on the inside. Ian Cartwright from Halifax still could possibly qualify if he strings a couple of wins together in his last 2 rides. Michael Lee needing points, and Dennis Sigalos, another fast starting American on the outside on 7 points. So Heat 16 as they settle down. And it was Pennell from the inside who shot across and carved everybody up. It was getting a bit tight as they ran for the corner, and Sigalos trying hard to get under Michael Lee here. Lee's in 2nd place. Here is the battle for the odd points as Pennell leads. 2nd place is Lee, 3rd is Sigalos. And at the back we have Ian Cartwright, and Michael Lee really must now try and find some extra horsepower, some extra legs to get past Bruce Pennell. Pennell in front, Lee's in 2nd place, trying really inside and out, thrusting, pushing, trying to find an opening. If Pennell makes a single mistake, I'm sure that East Anglia will be through. Pennell is not in the habit of making mistakes, and it looks as though Lee is going to have to find a superhuman effort to find the way past, to find a route either inside or out as they move into the last lap. Still Pennell. And Lee has gone very wide, and can he do a big run at him on the last 2 corners? Pennell's still in front. Here comes Michael Lee again. I don't think he's going to find anything extra at all on Bruce Pennell as Pennell shuts down the inside route. A win for the Americans. 2nd place was Lee. My word, though, he did have a go. And 3rd place, Dennis Sigalos. 2 points for Michael Lee, 3 more for Pennell. Pennell looking good and certain now to qualify. Looking good for a place in the frame as well. But we can but scratch our head about the future for Michael Lee at this stage. And so now, after 4 rides, just 1 race left for all 16. Here's the leaderboard. Dave Jessup stretching his lead on 12 points. He's in front. Bruce Pennell on 10 points. 3rd place, Larry Ross on 9. We've got Chris Morton and Dennis Sigalos on 8 points apiece, and another American, Kelly Moran, on 7. Now, all 6 of those should be safe for the Intercontinental final. But just let's have a look at the battle royal that's developing for the other qualification places. We've got 6 riders chasing 4 places. Steve Bastable, Kenny Carter, Les Collins, Michael Lee, Ivan Major and John Louis, the veteran of the party, all on 6 points. Heat 17, it's going to be tight from here on in. Dennis Sigalos here, perhaps the rider to watch in the white helmet colour, because he has 8 points. He should be safe in qualification, but he'll look to anchor it here in Heat 17, where he has opponents whose situation is a good bit more desperate, because you can see 3 of the riders who are on 6 points, and there are 6 of them chasing 4 places after the top group, are all in contention here in Heat 17. So an absolutely super crucial race for all 4 of these riders. None of them really can afford to finish last, possible exception of Sigalos. And Sigalos needs points to be absolutely sure of a place in the Intercontinental final. So Heat 17, one that's vitally important to all 4 starters. Well, Collins has got 8 from grid 1, and so too has Sigalos. Sigalos leads it. They're bunching up at the first corner. Sigalos it is. Coming around the outside, it is Louis from nowhere. The old man has come from the back around the outside of the whole bunch. Louis leads it. Second place, it is Sigalos. Third, it is Collins, and the British champion Steve Bastable at the back. And Bastable has moved through into third place, although Collins isn't going to give up without a battle, and neither either is Dennis Sigalos, because Sigalos really getting the bit between his teeth and chasing hard after Louis, who used all his experience and guile and trackcraft to find the run around the first 2 corners, and almost at the back we had a collision between Bastable and Collins. Collins emerged in front. Well, it is getting very, very sweaty and gritty in there. Still Louis, second place Sigalos, third is Collins, and they're on to the last lap, and we wonder if this is the end of the World Championship road for Steve Bastable. He's back in last place, the British champion. Over the line, 3 points for Louis, 2 for Sigalos, 1 for Collins, none for Bastable. And John Louis, through caution to the winds, kept it absolutely screwed wide open around the outside of the first 2 corners. Took a vital 3 points there. Dennis Sigalos, the American, first to congratulate him. He has a second place, so must be sure of qualification, and so too now surely must John Louis. Heat 18, we could sort out 1 or 2 of the placings here as well in the frame. Bruce Pennell on the inside at the moment. He is lying clearly in second place. Then we have Scott Autry in grid 2. He's out of contention. Looks like he's out of the World Championship too. Chris Morton is on 8 points, and Kenny Carter on the outside. Carter, of course, one of that cluster of riders on 6 points. So the little lad from Halifax will be looking to gain, 2, 3 hopeful points here to make sure of his place in the Intercontinental final. And Carter there angrily waving away a photographer. Must be a bit distracted for him. It's a very, very important race for the young man from Yorkshire. Here we go, Heat 18. And get a big knock going up to the corner there. It was Carter, and it was Morton who collided, but Carter it was who managed to hold on. Pennell's in front, but Carter has roared around the outside, and into him goes Pennell, and they're both in trouble, and they're going to go down through the fence. In goes Carter, and into goes Pennell. Something really had to give there, and give credit to those riders. It could have been a really ugly one, and Carter is not at all amused by Bruce Pennell, because he did run him in hard, and it is going to be very interesting to see what the referee, Danish official Kjell Christensen, makes of that one. It really was a most hair-raising first lap. Carter on the outside, you can see him and Morton nudge here. They did awful, look at that, and it almost brought Autry down. Pennell gets clear of the melee. Now Pennell's well away here. Carter seems to have got his dander up a bit by that incident as they ran up to the corner, roars around the outside and gets an awful lot of power on as he goes past Pennell. Now they're coming tearing down, remember, something like 60-70 miles an hour. Looked like Pennell tried to give him an elbow there as they run into the corner. Carter tries to lock back. Pennell's almost down into him, and the pair of them really had nowhere to go here but into trouble. Over they go. Pennell is in fact the last to go. Carter goes down, did well to get off, and so too did Pennell, but it looked as though Bruce Pennell was the rider who caused that, and the referee indeed has agreed with that, and he has excluded him, and that is a dramatic moment. Well, Bruce Pennell doesn't seem to be at all enamoured about that decision. You can see him dashing to the pit phone. The referee has made his decision that he is the cause of the accident.
Well, Bruce Pennell's most unhappy about that, and he rushed straight away to go over and make a protest, and he's now talking by phone to the referee, and as soon as he comes out, in fact, here he comes out now, we'll find out exactly what happened. Bruce, what's the decision?
Decision, I've been excluded for foul and dangerous riding, but there's nothing I could do about what happened. Kenny came on the corner and passed me, and I wobbled, and there's nothing. He dropped it on me coming into that corner, and I had nowhere to go, and we locked our bikes locked together, and the ref excluded me for foul and dangerous riding, and I think it's unfair.
Why do you think it's unfair?
Well, because I had nowhere to go. Kenny came and dropped it on me, and there's nothing I could do whatsoever. Nothing.
Well, here is Kenny Carter, bruised, but not bowed after that dramatic incident. First time of asking Heat 18, he's got a patch on the seat of his leathers, but we're wondering what he's going to make of the rerun. Will it have knocked the steam out of this young man? It's worth remembering that earlier this season, this lad broke his jaw in 8 places, came back after 6 weeks, absolutely unconcerned. There's the lineup, only 3 this time. Scott Autry on the inside, Chris Morton in the white helmet colouring grid 3, and on the outside Carter, the centre of all the fun and games, first time of asking. So here we go, Heat 18, rerun. And it's Morton who makes the first start of the afternoon for him, and Carter again is going to try the outside run. Carter ran the outside there quite beautifully, he leads it. Second place is Morton, third is Autry, and well, it does take a fair bit to knock the steam out of this young man, doesn't it? Autry is buzzing energetically on their back wheels, but I think the English Lions will carve this one up. It's Carter in front, Morton in second place. Morton, of course, has already done enough to qualify, and he is definitely team riding his younger partner home here, keeping the big bad Scott Autry at bay. Autry does seem to be losing touch. Obviously, the name of the game for the Englishman is to get as many qualifiers through to the Intercontinental final as possible, and Morton is definitely doing a watchdog job on Carter here. He's moved into the front. Carter's back in second place now, but 8 points should be enough to get him through. Last 2 corners, Chris Morton it is, who will go over the line for 3 points. Carter safely home for 2. Scott Autry has 1. That's a race which should make doubly sure that 2 more Englishmen qualify. That's Chris Morton and, of course, Kenny Carter, who picked himself up, dusted himself down and got 2 vital points.
Kenny Carter, your version. Do you think that was the right exclusion of Bruce Pennell?
No, I think Bruce were a bit selfish there, and if he would have probably rode normal, he maybe have beat me. I might have passed him, but he tried to be, a superstar and put me through the fence, didn't he?
Well, let's have a look at it, because he claims that you were pushing on him, really.
Well, if you see at the start here, I come to the start, and I made a fairly good start, but I went in a bad route, and I went across and I touched Chris. If you look at touch Chris coming out of the start, in a minute, you'll see I touched Chris, and we sort of both wobble there. We both wobble a bit, you see, like there. And I come round Bruce, and if you look, I come past him down the straight. I go wide there. But when I come past him down the straight here, and when I come past him, I'm coming across, coming into the corner, right? If you see that I'm in front now watch Bruce there, right? Watch Bruce there. He hits me. Now he takes me out and keeps me out. He don't turn, look. Just rode me out all the way, two-wheeling it. It's on television to prove it. I don't have to lie. Nobody has to lie. He's proved it on telly. He just two-wheeled me out, straight out to the fence. If he would have turned out, he would have probably come under me and passed me. But he had to knock me off, didn't he?
Well, we're moving into the last race, and as seems to be the pattern in our televised Speedway this year, it really is all to race for here, because we've got Ivan Major and Michael Lee. Between them, they've won a lot of world championships. Ivan Major, of course, has won it 6 times, and Lee has won it last year. They both have 6 points, desperate for a qualification place. And we've also got Dave Jessup in blue and Larry Ross. There is Larry, he's in white. Jessup unbeaten and needs this race to be sure of victory, and Major and Lee also desperate for points, because there's that qualification place in Voyens that's still to race for. Les Collins will be sweating in the pits because he's finished on 7 points. He could miss out and do nothing about it here as we come into Heat 20. Major, Jessup, Ross, Lee, that's the way they line up, and all of them really desperate for points. Not one of these 4 can really afford to finish last. Here we go, Heat 20. Oh, Ross has been left and Major's got away. Major leads it from the inside. Jessup is second, although he has, I'm sure, allowed Michael Lee to go past him. It's Lee in front. Major is second. Jessup is just doing the safe thing. He only really needs a point to be sure here of winning the championship. His nearest rival, Chris Morton, has finished on 11 points, and Lee and Major now really are battling it out up front for the qualification place. Michael Lee's had to work awfully hard. The reigning world champion had his work cut out in the British final, and it looks like this is going to be enough. If they stay this way, it will mean that both go forward, and Les Collins could be the unlucky one. We're getting our slide rules out up here in our commentary position. It's Lee in front. If they stay this way, Michael Lee will end on 9 points. Ivan Major will end on 8. Dave Jessup will do enough to win in third place, and it could be the unlucky rider is going to be Les Collins. And he, I'm sure, will not be too happy about this. Right at the back there, it is Larry Ross. Over the line they go. Lee the winner, second place Major, Jessup doing enough to win the championship, and that really does make an interesting picture for the next round in Vojens, Denmark, the Intercontinental Final. There is the winner.
Zielone miasto w chmurach.